Hello everyone, and welcome to Right Wing Rising. Please be sure to like this video down below before you are finished watching, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So Kamala Harris, the most liberal person when she was in the United States Senate, is now the presumptive Democratic nominee, and the former president, Donald Trump, is the Republican nominee for president. And conservatives overall seem to have two large concerns with this matchup. First, is Donald Trump sufficiently conservative and pushing the Republican Party in the right direction? And the obvious answer is no, Donald Trump is not a perfect candidate. I wish he was more conservative on some issues, especially some social issues. And he has moderated the Republican messaging on abortion and the pro-life issue. But unfortunately, I cannot blame him when Republicans continue to lose on this issue since Roe v. Wade was overturned, even in Republican states like Kansas, Montana, and Ohio. Trump does not want to risk being ultra pro-life and losing the election by airing it out there and letting the Democrats attack him effectively on it, and instead is content to paint the Democrats as the extremists on abortion, which of course they actually are, in fact. Conversely, Trump has pushed the Republican Party to the right on issues like immigration and foreign policy, and even education to some extent. But another valid complaint against Trump is how he handled COVID when he was president during 2020. Trump is a good reflection of the average person, quite imperfect. You're never going to get the quintessential, hypothetical, flawless candidate who is 100% conservative on every single issue, to the degree that everyone wishes that they were. Rather, in each election, you have to make a choice between two candidates, which is going to move America in the direction that you want it to be moved in, and which is going to move it in the direction that you do not want to see it moved in. And we have quite the clear choice here. Trump has his weaknesses. I'll be the first to admit that. I don't know Trump personally. I can't vouch for his personal character or the personal character of his running mate, J.D. Vance, or anyone else that he is involved with. I don't have to be best friends with him. I am simply picking who will be, in my opinion, the best president, the best manager of this country for the next 4 years. And based on his policies, without a doubt, I think that will be Donald Trump. And from a Christian perspective, I have full confidence that he will better respect moral values and work to protect religious freedom and the rights of groups such as pro-life organizations to fight for the causes that they believe in, freely and openly. He may not be the most ultra-conservative Christian politician out there, but we know that from his record during his first term that he will be a solid ally to conservatives and Christians. He was the most pro-life president in decades, and he was responsible for the shredding of Roe v. Wade by appointing conservative justices that were pro-life. And without Trump winning to stop the border crisis and preventing amnesty from being enacted, Republicans might never win another election again, and conservatives will never have a chance to get a more conservative option as the presidential candidate. We could do a lot worse than Trump, that's for sure. He's improved the GOP on many issues, but we also could do a lot better. And this election is making sure that we're voting for the candidate that makes that future a possibility. Donald Trump is a stepping stone to a stronger Republican Party, a stronger country, and a more conservative future. Whereas Kamala Harris will double down on everything that the Biden administration has done. And Trump frequently mentions God in his speeches. He supported Louisiana putting the Ten Commandments back in classrooms all across the state. And he spoke out against the mockery of the Last Supper at the Olympics in the opening ceremony. He thought it was a disgrace, he said, in a Fox News interview, and said that when he is president, when the Olympics are in Los Angeles in 2028, he will make sure that nothing like this happens, not even close to it. That's the complete opposite of what the Bidens are coming out and saying. Joe Biden's saying how great the Olympics are. She's not saying anything about this controversy. Donald Trump will be a better ally to conservatives and Christians, like he was in the first term, probably even better with someone like J.D. Vance, a devout Catholic, as his running mate, whereas the Democrats and Kamala Harris will continue to make a mockery of Christian values, Christian beliefs, if Kamala Harris is elected to be the next president of this country. That's a big concern of Christian conservative voters in the Republican Party. Will Donald Trump be sufficiently conservative enough? Is he moving the party in the right direction? And I can say confidently that voting for him will definitely move the country in the right direction, move the party in the right direction, and give us our best ability in the future to make improvements that we want to see in our country, in our party, and in the candidate quality that we are putting forth all across the country, and especially for the presidency. And that's not a knock against Donald Trump, but obviously there are some policy positions that he could be improved upon if there was someone different, a little more conservative, than him as the nominee for president. The other concern that Republican voters have is, can Trump beat the ultra-liberal Harris? Because no one on the Republican side wants to imagine what a presidency under a Harris administration would be like. That's a very scary thing, and it's a very liberal imagination that you can have of what the policies governing this country would be. And it's not a good thing. It would be a big mess. It would make the Biden administration seem like a picnic. So what does that look like electorally, and what chance does Donald Trump have to win? We can look at this Electoral College map right here to get an update on the state of the race. All of these states that are colored in either dark red or dark blue went to Donald Trump or Joe Biden in the 2020 election by a large margin of at least 10 points or more. Texas and Florida are shaded differently because they voted for Donald Trump by less than 10 points in 2020, but they are more than likely once again to go to him in 2024 and by larger margins this time around, as Florida has swung sharply to the right, and Harris does not look to be someone that will be super favorable with the demographics in Texas, especially with the border crisis that she is by and large responsible for. With Hispanics shifting to the right in recent elections, and oil being a big product in the state, and Harris strongly opposing the fossil fuel industry, New Mexico should also shift to the right, although it should still go Democrat. But I think it might be closer than a 10-point margin. As for Minnesota, Virginia, New Hampshire, Maine at large, and Nebraska's 2nd congressional district, those should go to Kamala Harris more than likely, but they are shown as being lighter blue because they will be competitive, and there is a non-zero chance that Donald Trump could win in those states for various reasons. But the 7 key swing states, the true toss-ups, that pretty much all polling firms and political predictive organizations agree are the most crucial battlegrounds this election cycle, are Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. All of these states, except for North Carolina, voted for Joe Biden in 2020, but all of them did so by a razor-thin margin. Having filled out all other 43 states and the District of Columbia, can't forget that, Harris sits at 226 electoral votes and Donald Trump would be at 219. Polling looks very favorable for Donald Trump in North Carolina. He also won it in 2020, even though that election cycle was very favorable for Joe Biden, and kind of a worst case scenario for Donald Trump. So I think that he will once again pick off the state, probably by a lean margin, maybe around 3 to 4 points, best case scenario, and that puts Donald Trump up to 235. Before Biden dropped out, Donald Trump had the lead in all of the other 6 swing states. Again, a lot is to be determined now with Harris being the nominee. There's not been much time, only about a week or 10 days, to get new polls out, so it's really hard to tell the updated state of the race. However, one thing remains true. Donald Trump, even polling hypothetically against Kamala Harris, was doing well in Georgia. I think he is favored to flip that back into his column. There will most likely not be, once again, record black turnout in the Atlanta metro area in the state like there was in 2020. Immigration is also projected to be a huge issue in Georgia, which will favor Donald Trump, including the fact that he did not trail a single poll in Georgia against Biden for the entire calendar year of 2024, and also that Democrats have actually pulled resources out of Georgia and not put many resources in to begin with, since their internal numbers were so bad, and they themselves saw a low probability of winning the state again. So I think all those factors combined, he flips back Georgia, gives himself 251 electoral votes, pushing him to the precipice of 270, that magic number, to win the presidency. Voter registration has looked really good in Nevada, Arizona, and Pennsylvania in the past year, so that's a very good sign for Republicans. And Donald Trump is especially polling strongly in Nevada and Arizona. However, if he were to win both of them, he only gets to 268, so that alone will not get it done. He would need to win another state in addition to those two. However, if he flips Georgia, he only needs Pennsylvania, which is a state that he's polling ahead in, by and large, even against Harris since Biden dropped out. And again, it's demographics that she does not do well with. Rural, white, working-class voters, and especially voters that are employed in the fossil fuel industry, an industry that she has regularly gone after during her political career. If he holds North Carolina and just flips back Georgia and Pennsylvania, he wins the election. If he were to not win Pennsylvania, he would just need to flip back Wisconsin, which he's looking good in polling, and Arizona, where he has held a commanding lead for quite a while now. Donald Trump has a clear pathway to victory, perhaps even more clear than Kamala Harris's path. Georgia is definitely key. If he flips that, he only needs Arizona and one of Wisconsin and Michigan, or just win Pennsylvania and it's game over. Do not let the media or anyone else tell you that Harris is going to win, and that there is no way Donald Trump can. This is not the time for defeatism. I'm not trying to go the other way and seem overconfident, but Trump is in a good position. Harris is not as strong of a candidate as people think she is. She has a lot of blind spots with a lot of voting blocks. And Harris needs to win the popular vote by more than 3 to 4 points to have a guarantee at victory in the Electoral College. Republican voters, especially in those 7 key states that I pointed out, need to get out and vote. This election victory is very attainable. And we need to attain it because Kamala Harris would be an absolute disaster as president. But fortunately, we will not have to think about that possibility if Trump goes out and wins this election, which is ripe for the taking. And if conservative voters all across the country get out and vote, he can not just barely win, he can win a landslide. He could easily pick off Michigan, Pennsylvania. He could win Nevada for the first time in 20 years that a Republican would do that. And even Minnesota, Virginia, New Hampshire, Maine, like I said, those states could enter the conversation of being possible pickups for the Republican Party. And that would be absolutely huge. But let's not get negative and listen to the media hype that Harris is going to win. She has the momentum. And let's not go the other way and get complacent and think Trump is going to win just because the polls and a lot of other factors are looking good for him. We need to ignore the noise and get out and vote in November, so that on January 20th, 2025, we are listening to Donald Trump give his inaugural address of his second term, not Kamala Harris.